Do you ever plan on divorcing me?
No.
Okay, well, this right here doesn't matter. All this means is that if you go back on your word of what you just said to me, that's the only reason why this right here will take an effect.
Oh, he rehearsed this.
Does this prenup have any silent party influence?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Because I feel like your ex, she mentioned a prenup. Too many hands in the broth is the saying that we say in Trinidad. When too many hands in the broth, it spoils the entire thing.
Hey, Trini boy.
So now it's like looking at me as if I have some secret agenda to try to take what Bilal has.
You are now listening to the HYP Podcast, a platform dedicated to discussing millennial culture and experience through a Christian lens, redefining who we are with cultural excellence and as children of the Most High, cultivating thought-provoking discussion and spreading the word of God with love. Hold your point.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Peace to the planet. This is the Hold Your Point Podcast. We are the Hold Your Point Podcast crew. My name is Nigel. We got Lee Strauss, DJ, and DTH in the building. What's happening, fellas?
Hey,
What's going on, Bo?
yo,
Chilling,
glad
man.
to be here, y'all. Y'all already know.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, right before we get started, man, we want to first of all say thank you to everyone who has helped us reach over 1,000 subscribers. We couldn't have done it without you. Every 1,000 subscribers, we are giving away merch. So we got new merch items on the website. You can go ahead and check it out. Tell a friend to tell a friend, like and subscribe, man. We're trying to give our numbers away or get our numbers up. And, we're going to get into some of what we have to do today. So, again, fellas, how we feeling, man?
It's good, man. Feeling blessed to be alive. Blessed on 6 inches above.
Hey.
Is that how you say it?
6
Not
feet.
6 feet under. Oh, my bad. Not 6 inches.
6 feet. Yeah.
6 feet. My
Nah,
bad.
you good. Hey, man.
Yeah.
It's been a long week.
The only... Okay.
No, but, hey, nah, for real. It's good to be here, man. I'm happy to have y'all. Happy to be here. Enjoyed the topic
I
today.
like-
Gonna be hot.
I like your, what is that, a sweatshirt?
Trust
Is that what
God.
you call it?
Trust
It's
God.
nice, man.
Appreciate it. Appreciate
More,
it.
more custom Hold Your Point merch if y'all need that piece.
That's right. That's right. Get y'all merch. Holdyourpoint.com official.
Yes, sir. Hey, well, we got a good episode, man. We're going to jump into today, and we're going to talk a little bit about prenups. And,
Holla, we want what?
I think, there's a few of us who are married on this pod, so I don't know how candid everyone's going to be, but we're going to dive into it. And we have a video that Phil loaded up for us that we're going to jump into first. So,
Do you ever plan on cheating on me?
Absolutely not, no.
Do you ever plan on divorcing me?
No.
Okay, well, this right here doesn't matter. All this means is that if you go back on your word of what you just said to me, that's the only reason why this right here will take an effect.
oh, he rehearsed this.
Does this prenup have any silent party influence?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Because I feel like your ex, she mentioned a prenup. Too many hands in the broth is the saying that we say in Trinidad. When too many hands in the broth, it
Trini.
spoils the entire thing.
Hey, Trini boy.
So now it's like looking at me as if I have some secret agenda to try to take what Bilal has.
First of all, that has absolutely nothing to do with anything in relation
sure?
to... Well, you asked me a question. Can I answer your question? That has absolutely nothing to do with anything whatsoever. But I also know that I have 2 children that I also have to protect as well. And I can't just say, oh, well, let me just have a blind eye at love. Well, that wouldn't be smart.
Can you see how I give up everything?
My love, my Bellacita.
Do you see where I'm coming from when I say that?
I get it. I know this is not the sexiest conversation to have, but I know it's a conversation that is needed. This right here is something that It just says that you won't take me for everything I got. I mean, it's just literally, just see it from that standpoint.
Whew.
Game, set, match.
Fatality.
He put a border around it and all, boy. He ain't put cover letter.
I feel as if Billa doesn't trust me. I know that when he got married, he was thinking like me, like it's going to be forever, and his wife left him. So I think he has some trust issues, and I feel like I have to pay the price for everything that has happened to him in his past.
All right, what's love got to do with it?
That was intense. All right.
Man, I want to ask y'all real quick, just even watching this video, do y'all think like there's elements of trust in that relationship?
Elements of trust.
If there are elements of trust in it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, there are elements of trust in it. But I mean, to what extent and how strong is the trust is, I think, the question. But I mean, if, you know, for those watching, this is a clip from the show 90 Day Fiancé. So obviously the circumstances around them being together are much different than what, you know, the norm would be. So, but I mean, if they're engaged, looks like they're getting ready to be married, they have some level of trust, I think, if they're about to be married.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of level of trust, yeah, sure, right? I'll marry you, right? Remember coming to America?
If you're really a prince, I'm married.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there's some kind of level of trust here, but I don't know, as far as prenups is concerned, I'm not sure how I feel about it, because there's this term in business that says plan for the best, hope for the worst, right? And I feel like in a marriage, just having just a little ounce of, well, you know, what if? That's tough, because like marriage is such a, man, how do you describe marriage, man? It's tough. It's really no other way to describe it. It's a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I love being married, but it's tough. And any kind of ounce of like, well, you know what? I got an escape route. That's not gonna do you well in marriage, man. You got to make sure that you have both feet in, both arms in, tucked in the boat, and the toe out. It's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Real
Really
quick,
trust him.
real quick before you go, I just want to say, I think the phrase is hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Oh, I ain't say that?
I think you said it reversed.
Hope for the worst, plan for the best.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we do it
that's
live, y'all. We do it live. But nah, I just wanted to chime in and say, look, I think there is some level of trust in there. There is some. I don't, and as I guess the only unmarried man on the pod, I have a little bit of
You can speak your truth.
Hey, I
just want to put it that way. Y'all can speak. Y'all better speak y'all truth. But I think there is a level of trust there, and I'm not sure if just trying to like establish some kind of agreement before is a level of saying, "Oh, I don't trust you. I don't like you." I think there's many examples of agreements and things happening beforehand. I'll give you biblical examples. Things happening beforehand, before people are getting into relationships, before people getting into friendships, where they make an agreement, they make a pact, they make a, I have a word for a covenant. I'm sorry. And so, yeah. So I think there is some type of always agreement, even if you don't write it down on paper. I think there is an agreement for everybody.
So, well, yeah, and I agree with you there, because I mean, the word says like if you make a vow, like you got to be committed to the vows that you make. But and you know, operative word being if you make the vows. So now I guess I have a question just more generally, because from that video it didn't sound like the brother trusted her that much, because he said he had 2 kids that he needed to protect, and he's talking, you know, essentially to his wife and partner. So it sounded like she was outside of that protection that was immediate concerning. But my question is, let's just say, right, Levi gets married. I'm gonna pick on Levi.
Let's do it.
And you know, God increases him. He start making about $350,000 a year,
That's
right?
it, Lord, do it.
And he find him a wife. You know, everything is good in the beginning. She's with him before the increase, but then after the increase, now you know the spending habits are manifesting. And Levi goes and checks, and about $5,000 a week is getting spent. So if that happens,
$5,000 a week.
if that happens, would that not be grounds to say, okay, we need to renegotiate our terms of endearment, and maybe a prenup would be a smart decision?
I think there would have to be some kind of agreement. Like I said, there would have to be a conversation. There would have to be an agreement. Something would have to be said, because $5,000 a week is way too much. That's not happening. There would have to be something that says, we're not going to do that anymore. Or there's going to be something that says, what are we doing this for? Well, there'll be a conversation. What are we spending on? What's going on? Like, why is that happening? If it's too much in my head, it would have to go down. And in that sense, like, we say prenup, but there's regular nup, I guess, in middle nup. I don't know how to say it.
Regular nup.
And there's post-nuptials too. There's people who have gotten divorced and then they make an agreement and it could be amicable. It doesn't always have to be divisive. It doesn't always have to be contentious. It could be two sane people who have broken up, divorced, and they come to an agreement like, hey, okay, this is what we're going to do with this. This is what we're going to do with that. This is what we're going to do with the kids. This is what we're going to do with that. And it doesn't have to be but it's still an agreement. It's still a nuptial. It's a post-nuptial.
So you're asking if a document is now needed in this scenario where she starts spending $5,000 a week of his money?
Yeah, like, how do y'all circumvent, like, the relationship just going absolutely sour when there's overspending and now you have to do something before y'all in the poorhouse?
Man, that's to be honest, you got to do that work up front. Because if you just if your girl just suddenly just starts spending, that's not a new habit. That's something that's probably something that was already pre-existing before you got with her. So
I probably ignored red flags. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's about really vetting the person that you're going to hopefully spend the rest of your life with, because that's what the purpose of marriage is, as defined by God, right? We can talk about how people view marriage today, but I believe that's the way it should be looked at. And if that's the case, you need to do your due diligence in
how do you do that, brother?
Person. Well, I would say there are a number of factors you need to look at. For me, you want to make sure your primary values align, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, in this instance, we're talking about spending habits. And honestly, I think for, at least in the U.S., I think, like, the leading cause of divorce is our finances, financial issues. And so that's a huge thing. And a lot of times in relationships, one person is more of the spender and another one is more of the saver, right? So you do have that dynamic that exists a lot of times in relationships. Sometimes they're both lockstep on we're just going to spend our money, and sometimes they both are really good savers. But a lot of times it's a mix of the two. Go ahead. Well, I was saying, so, like, in that case, when you're courting a woman, or if a woman is talking to a man, whatever, you have to talk about these things. Like, these are not topics that you want to leave or stones that you want to leave unturned when you're getting to know someone. It's a very important thing, right? So, like, that's a value I think that's important, because it goes to stewardship, which we know is a biblical principle, right? So that's one of the ways you do it, is you talk.
Yeah. I would like to get a stat of the countries that has the highest divorce rates, because I like I said before, I think that if you have that little speckle of, be able to reverse a situation and make sure all your funds is secured and, no issues there, I think that comes into play when you decide to spend the rest of your life with somebody. You are forced to think that way. So it looks like we got it coming up here. So what's that? The Maldives. What's that one with the K?
Kazakhstan,
Russia,
Belarus, China, Moldova, Ukraine, Lithuania, Cyprus, and then the U.S. So that's the divorce rate.
Yeah. So these are the countries that has the highest divorce rates here. And obviously it comes into play, like I said, all these things, these little things, these little nuances come into play. I actually just found out in the UK, you actually aren't really able to divorce. Well, you can, or I'm sorry, not you aren't able to get a prenup or it's very difficult to get it. And obviously, as you can see, it didn't make the list. Why? Because you probably looking ahead to make sure that this person is sound. This person fits my core values, as DTH said. So all that stuff kind of comes into play, or someone might say equally yoked, right? That's what it says biblically. And maybe if somebody has the scripture, we can kind of read that real quick.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily like just discovering and seeing the things from the beginning, because like if you're making just like $100,000 a year and your spouse is spending like $200 a week or something, like it's not probably as detrimental, right? So it's like, whatever, it's just. But then as the funds increase and the spending increases, now it's like, whoa, wait a minute, it's not $200 anymore. And now it's like $3,000, $5,000, and we got to do something different. So I mean, I guess I'm just wondering. I'm gonna ask y'all again, for the married brothers, if y'all had an opportunity to do it different, would y'all have signed prenuptial agreements?
I don't have enough money.
If I wanted to do it differently, would I sign a prenuptial agreement? Probably not. No, probably not. And,
why?
Well, I think I did a good job of looking ahead, planning ahead. My wife really ain't on money like that. She's on freedom. Once she's free and she could be with her family, she's happy. Like, get her nails done maybe like once a month or something like that. But she don't really like fool with her hair, get all that. She likes fashion and all that, but so I don't think I really have an issue there. Plus, if you are somebody I spent a portion of my life with, I would still want to make sure you're good, you blessed, if I have the means. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just the kind of person I am anyway.
DCH, what you think?
Well, so I wanted to read this stat because I thought this was interesting, right? It says, according to the Harris poll, Americans who have been married or are currently engaged, 15% of them report that they've signed a prenup. And this is up 3% since 2010. So more people are actually getting prenups before they get married. And then it says 4 in 10 U.S. adults, about 42%, support the use of prenups, and 35% of those who are unmarried say that they're likely to sign a prenuptial agreement in the future before they get married. So it seems to be, based on the statistics, that it's something that's on the rise, and more people are doing it. And I do want to have a discussion, obviously, on whether you should or not. Now, for me, I would also say no, because of what I believe the Bible teaches about marriage and how I try to align my thinking with what the Bible says. But I will say I can definitely see the desire for people, and honestly, primarily men, to desire prenups. Because when you look at what's happening, we're here in the States, right? If we look at what's happening in our country with divorces going up, and the way men are being fleeced for
take it to the dry cleaners out here,
half of their things, I can definitely see the appeal of wanting a prenuptial agreement that says, look, if things go south, you're going to take what you had and I'm going to take what I have. So I can see the appeal. It's a very strong one because, again, what is happening to men, and, we're talking financially, but then if kids are involved and what happens there, and how women get custody, I think almost like 80% of the time it becomes such, like, there are men who are committing suicide because of the things that happen to them in divorce, right? And that's not to say women don't have a hard time with divorce either, right? But like when we look at what's truly happening statistically, women receive alimony a large amount of the times. They receive custody of children a large amount of the times. Mm-hmm. It's a very difficult thing. And some people would say that looking at it the way it's structured, that women have a financial incentive to divorce. And so that would therefore give men a financial incentive to want a prenup.
Yeah, DTH touching a lot there. I know y'all, I'll answer the question from a little bit of my perspective. Would I get a prenuptial agreement? The answer is undecided. The answer is undecided because, one, I'm not sure if I have, gotten through the full vetting process in my dating life career. So, but
career.
It's a
hey,
career.
it's a
now.
career. Oh, let me stop. But so I don't think I've gotten through that full process, and maybe once I get there, you know, it might not be something. But I do think it's gotten a bad rap, especially in the Christian community, in life in general. It's gotten, like, the prenuptial agreement has gotten bad. It's gotten to it's now seen many times, for the most part, as seen as lack of trust, or I don't believe in you. I think you're going to mess up. But like I said, it's scriptural. Genesis 31, verse 43. Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flock, and all that you see is mine. But what I can do this day for these my daughters, or for their children whom they have borne. Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I. Let us be a witness between you. Let it be a witness between you and me. As we can see, sounds a little bit like an agreement to me.
Well, okay, so all right, and then I guess I wanted to ask too.
Hold on.
Well, hold on, let me spit another.
Are you saying that the way that the marriage system is now is not biblical? That is technically just an agreement between one person and another person? Say, hey, look, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with you. We're married.
I do think that nowadays in marriage, and especially Western culture, there is more of a individual kind of courtship process. Like a lot of people don't involve their families. They don't involve counselors, pastors, stuff like that in their relationship. They want to keep it private. I get that. But I think in biblical times, it was more of my family is getting with your family. Mm-hmm. And so it was way more, the agreement was, I wouldn't want to say it's like on paper or anything like that, but the agreement was
That's
way
how they still
more.
do it in India and some
Of
of these
course,
countries.
Right.
Arranged marriages, yeah.
The agreement was public. The agreement was like, hey, we are like doing this, and if something were to happen, like everyone knows, like, hey, our families need to kind of like, there would have to be some kind of reconciliation, I guess. So
I wanted to ask y'all this, right? So we talked about it from like the man's perspective, but like let's look at like Rihanna, right? And Rihanna came out with the Fenty line, and and somebody will fact check me in the comments, but I believe it ran up to about $1 billion.
I think that's right.
As far as the company goes. So let's say, right, your wives come out with a makeup line, hair care product, whatever it is, and now they have a $1 billion imprint. And now they come to you and say, you know what, hun, babe, whatever, I got assets and accountability, responsibilities in this new trademark, and I want to make sure it's protected. And then the wife slides you a prenuptial agreement based on.
I say, oh yeah, I got you. It's protected. I got you. I'm gonna take care of it. We gonna take care of that together.
So y'all ain't going for it. If she come up on a couple $1 billion or something and she slide us with a prenup, y'all ain't going for it.
Hey, listen, did you saw the response? We had another clip we could have showed where it's kind of a mix up of different people going through the same thing. And listen, it's always the man offering the prenup to the woman, and they're all saying no. And I'm telling you, if that were me, I'm saying no too. I'm definitely saying no. What I look like signing the prenup, or hold on, you saying this is after, or
yeah, this is like
after we're married, or no?
Renegotiating the terms of endearment.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
David tried to be a man of luxury.
Absolutely not.
I'm about to get my hair done.
that's my $5,000 a week.
Y'all just trying to chill at the house.
I mean,
go to the spas.
I'm saying, well, look, listen, we came into this thing as a unit, right? So
hey, you better make sure all the dishes clean, food cooked.
Listen, there's no problem with that. But nah, there's
car
no
wash.
Way. There's no way I'm gonna agree to something like that.
Well, that's a good point though that DJ made, right? So let's say like it starts with them sliding us a prenup to say okay, and then we say no fiercely, blah blah blah. They were like, all right, well, I at least need you to take care of things around the house a little bit more. Making sure that the kids, everything is straight so I can focus on the imprint. and then now you become, a stay-at-home dad taking care of the kids when she's out there getting the bread. Would that be acceptable?
Quick. Nah, so it will be acceptable, but not in the way you said it. Because if you got a bill, we can get a babysitter, we can get a cleaner up in here. However, I think that I have the ability to put my God-given gifts on this situation and turn it into something a little greater than what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because that's really what a marriage is about, right? Y'all kind of touched on a little bit. It's about a business structure. Levi said about one family marrying another family. It was.
But what if she don't want that? She started with her girl. She don't want you a part of the business. She wants you at home with the kids, making sure the house is clear.
Well, hold on. We got an issue there because it's not just about what she wants. Hold on. Are we the man in the relationship? Am I leading? Like, what's going on here?
All right. Exactly. And I mean, now, so your question.
Clearly,
though,
you're not in that one.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
If
You're a trophy husband.
If the dynamic is such that she is wildly financially successful, and it's more beneficial.
You start growing the belly, you screwed.
It's more beneficial to the family that.
Sorry.
Nah, you good. It's more beneficial to the family that she is the one who's really like the breadwinner, right, so to speak, because like her business is just wildly successful. And then she's asking me, hey, look, because of the demands of my business, I need you to, it would help me if you help with the kids a little bit and pick up the house and stuff like that. I mean, if that's the dynamic of the relationship, would I be willing to do it? Sure, right? Now, for me, I don't think you're no longer the head. I think the man is the head because that is his position given by God, right?
Exactly.
Even if she's out there, her job makes more money. There's a lot of relationships where women make more money. I think my mother made more money than my father almost their whole careers.
Oh, daddy gonna clap you, boy.
I mean,
Off the pod.
But regardless, that never changed how the dynamic of the roles of husband and wife function. You know what I'm saying? So, in the same way, she can be a billionaire, right? But I would still be the head of the household. And
but how do you guys?
If it works for the family, that's what we'll do.
How do you guys handle it? Because I think what Nigel's kind of alluding to is when someone gets in a relationship and they kind of start to go sideways, right? How do you stay equally yoked, right? How do you stay on one accord with somebody to make sure that these issues don't happen? Because we know it's difficult trying to put two people together. I would say it's probably easier to grow a business than it is to stick in a marriage, because the business you probably have the first 3 years is tricky, and then after that you got your systems together. But is there a system really for a marriage? I feel like what worked last year may not work the next year. You know what I'm saying?
The only system that I found that is consistent for marriage is making sure that God is in the forefront of it all. Yeah. And I think, that's the simple part of it that we all understand, right? Is making sure that God is first in our approach in finding mates and stuff. So the women or the mates that God bring to us doesn't come with caveats. So that's the main piece of it. But I have two examples I wanted to ask y'all about. First is Tabitha Brown and her husband. I don't know if y'all know the story with Tabitha Brown. She was a lady who came up with the spices and all the stuff, and her husband, she asked him not to work and just to support the vision for like a few years. Yeah. And she was leading, and then after she got the money up and stuff, then she put him into the business. That's one. And then you have Oprah and Stegman, right? Now, are these situations of comfort that we as men would be able to find ourselves in? Because we kind of talked about like if she, Fenty and stuff like that, but like I think those are two different ones, because with Tabitha, like she kind of brought him back in and made sure everything is whole, but you don't hear too much about Stegman and his claims to Oprah's stuff. So
I don't know nothing about that.
I was gonna say,
I just hear the running jokes like over the years, but I don't have a problem with the Tabitha Brown situation was, because clearly my man agreed to it, and he's in the business, so he's helping the situation grow further than what it was. So I don't have an issue with that. It's about running the play. If her play is better than his play, let's run this one. This is a better play. Let's do it. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, no, I agree with Daryl in that sense. If it's better for the two people in that sense to go with, what she got going on, it's going to be better, sure. But I think there has to be, at the same time, like, definitely roles have to be set, especially when it comes to the house. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think we talked about this on some, on our relationship pod way back in the day a little bit, where it was like, can you be a boss in the workplace and then come back at home and be, housewife, be submissive. I think, we kind of got to the conclusion that yes, it's possible, but it's tricky. It's difficult. It's like turning a switch on and off. Like, can that switch be turned on and off? Like, can you be the boss and be the breadwinner and be the person at your job that's doing all the thing and then come home and allow your man to do that? Is that possible? Sure. Yes, there are women out there that can make it work. It's just not, I want to say, natural. In a sense.
Yeah, and I think there's levels to it too, because we kind of think of it and approach it from like a couple 100,000, maybe a couple million, right? But let's say like if it was a princess that you fell in love with and who had something for you, and she had territory and countries, and she's saying in order for this to work, you got to sign non-disclosure agreements. You have to do the prenuptial.
Shout out to the queen.
Well, you have to, yeah.
So I mean, like in that regard, like, is it a deal breaker to say like, you know what, I love you, you got half of Zamunda, but if I gotta sign NDAs and prenups in order to do this, it's not gonna work?
I mean, at that point, you have no choice if she's telling you that you have to sign it.
Yeah, no choice.
No, what I mean is, if you want to get married and she's telling you got to do it, you have to sign it. But I guess what I would say is, I guess we're not getting married, because for me,
so you're gonna give it all up.
But you're not getting it anyway. Because that's the point of why you're signing it, is you're not getting it.
It's a lease. You get to stay on the property for a little while.
But you're not getting it.
Man, I'm getting it. Where you want me to sign, babe?
Yeah, but
hey, I look at it like this, because Chick-fil-A, you don't really technically own a Chick-fil-A franchise,
You stay talking about Chick-fil-A.
Hey, you don't technically own it. You just kind of sign the lease, and then when you want to let it go, you can't sell it. You just kind of just.
So the company owns it.
The company, so you basically a high-paid employee with Chick-fil-A. So, hey,
are y'all okay with being high-paid employees?
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying.
You are now my favorite employee. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Hey, look,
that's what I'm saying.
If it's built on love, let's do it.
Well, my thing is though, I think what you think about marriage will shape how you feel about prenups, and that's why I'm saying, for me, I take my view of marriage from the Bible. And so for me, that makes me, that forms my opinion on prenups, right? So like, that's why I was saying, for me, I don't have one, and I wouldn't get one if I could do it over, because, again, as much as I acknowledge the desire for a prenup, in today's climate, right? A lot of these people who are getting married, even if they're professing Christians, are not like true practicing Christians, right? And so
we'll get there.
So I mean, the marriage is just an event where, the wedding, obviously, and there's some desire to live with someone and have companionship, but are they really hoping to be with that person until death do they part? I don't know that that's necessarily the goal. And so if that's your mindset, where it's like, it's cool to be with you for now, but if something goes wrong, I want to have an out, then a prenup is probably something you're going to consider a lot more strongly. But whereas if you are someone who has a more biblical view of marriage, like this is it, there's nothing that's going to happen between us unless someone dies, then a prenup is not in your wheelhouse of options, because you're not anticipating there would be a divorce.
Absolutely. Sorry, let me jump in here. The Bible talks about a three string cord or whatever, three. How do you call it? So it's not so easily broken. Put God in the middle of that relationship, and it's tough. Not saying obviously impossible, but it's very tough for that to be broken. Whether it's trust, whether it's love, all that stuff will be solid if you put God in the middle of that relationship. And to your point, like I said, you get through that vetting process and you find that person that has that mindset that is thinking of, hey, this is it. This is forever. My parents have been married for 40 years. So I've seen that. I've seen how, you say to yourself, this is my commitment. No matter what happens, I do not care. Like, I am with this person, of course, with the exception of Jesus and his cue on divorce. Of course, there is exception that Jesus made, but besides that, there needs to, once you have that mindset that this is forever, this is not going anywhere, I think a non-paper agreement is definitely something that can happen. Don't want to put it out there and throw it out here on the pod that, hey, I'm going for prenuptial agreements. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think there is always an agreement, whether paper or not.
Yeah, and just real quick, Genesis 2:24, which we all know very well. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh, right? The purpose is to become one in spiritually, financially, physically, mentally, every type of way you can think. You're designed to become one unit. So, if that's the mindset you're going in with, then it really shouldn't be an issue. And I think that whole vetting process that has to happen before marriage is where people run into issues, because maybe they're ignoring the red flags, maybe
no counsel.
Yeah, there's not getting enough counseling to talk about important issues and things like that, and that's where the issue arises. And then at the end, like the wherewithal to I mean, no one wants to be in something where they are miserable, right? I can understand that, but that's why it's important to be equally yoked, as we talked about, right? You're not just getting into something with somebody who has very different views of life than you. So, I think if you start from that place and you guys do that work together and you make the decision to get married, then you should be fine.
So I wanted to ask y'all this last question. I was doing some quick research on the side. How do y'all think it went in the situation of Jacob, Rachel, and Leah? What did Leah get?
Rough end of the stick.
Besides children.
She got, I'm about to say, she got a lot of sons. Right. She got a lot of boys.
Besides that, what did Jacob make sure that Leah got before he switched gears to Rachel?
I mean, he was forced to get with her, though.
He accepted.
He was tricked to get with.
While we talking about that, just real quick, did y'all ever find it?
How?
You ever find it weird that when he worked the 7 years and then here comes Rachel, right? But really it's Leah. How you don't know that? How did you get? I mean, is it completely pitch black that you like?
Maybe
what
they
is
were
this
twins.
Going on? I always wondered
one had a leaky eye.
Yeah, no, they were not twins. Rachel and just
Leaky eye?
yeah, she had droopy eyes or something. The Bible says that. Yeah.
Well, let's get back to the question though. As far as prenuptials go, what did Leah get?
Well, listen. Laban, the father, he set it up so that she would be taken care of, because maybe nobody was checking for Leah really.
Right.
And so he ensured that she got a husband. That wasn't Jacob's goal, but being her husband, he made sure she was taken care of.
She got mentioned in the Bible.
You got it.
She was taken care of.
She was in the credits.
Oh,
nah. This guy's wild.
Well, what would you say?
I mean, I think it just makes for an interesting scenario, because, I mean, in the terms of prenuptial agreements, I don't think it would be necessarily like a prenup, but, there's elements of like, there wasn't a whole lot of continuity for Leah in that example. So, I mean, I think like it's permissible in the Bible, as long as we don't start in vows and then we just flip the script. Like, we just have to like make it clear, if this is what we're doing, we have to be all on the same page, and it can still work. It doesn't mean that we're two separate flesh, because I mean, now some folks would have separate bank accounts. And, they might have just a joint bank account for the bills, but they got their own separate money. Like, that's a form of prenuptials, where you're keeping most of your money
It's
separate.
a form of prenuptial. You're right.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that.
It's like an already set kind of like, if something were to happen, I have mine. You can't do anything with it.
I think it depends on how you're
And you agree to
functioning
that
with it. Yeah.
beforehand. Like, that's how your relationship is going. That's an agreement y'all made.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think what DJ might be saying is like the functionality of it, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, if you have a joint account. I don't know that if it's just for bills or whatever, but I'm saying you might have your own account. Maybe it's too much work to do the work to get one account, so you just keep it. I don't know. I can see a scenario where you have separate accounts, and it's not about me keeping mine and yours, because you're still gonna spend from yours on the other person. You know what I'm saying? So that's
I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that just got one account, but I don't know any that's married. That is, I don't know any.
My parents.
Yeah, I mean,
no side accounts.
No side accounts.
I clipped the side
My parents
accounts.
have one account.
I mean, ours do.
Years.
Yeah, well, we for a while, like me and Amber, like we had separate accounts, and then like we made it dawned on us one day. It was like, why do we have separate accounts? And we just created the one together, and we don't got separate accounts no more. So I mean, it's just like
I don't think it's a big issue to have one or the other. It's just
preference. It's preference.
Yeah, I don't have. I mean, look, whatever works for you and yours to stay married. But I like what Levi said. He said his folks is married for 40 years. I think a lot of times it's perspective, like on marriage, right? There's a, I guess it's like a law. It's called entropy. Like everything eventually goes to a disorder, right? And unless you got two people that are on one accord, that hey, we're gonna stick in this, some things are gonna happen, right? You're gonna eventually go south unless you can steer that boat in the right direction to avoid a catastrophe of divorce or what have you. So a lot of times it's just your mindset. Like a lot of times a good decision can be made a great decision just depending on your mindset, because sometimes you'll get in a situation where it's like maybe you've not been the best person, right? But because you had the mindset that I'm sticking in this thing, now that decision has became a great decision. You guys been married 40-50 years, right? But sometimes a phenomenal decision has became a bad decision. Why? Because someone somewhere along in a relationship, perhaps one person didn't want to continue grow. Because that's a big part of it too. Like when you have one person that's stagnant and doesn't grow, or doesn't you don't grow with one another, that's tough. That's a tough situation where then it feels like you got a adult child, and that's rough. You know what I'm saying? So it just two people has to have the same mindset of continue to grow.
So last question for me. Just to measure the
second
pockets, second to last, or this the very last one. Just to measure the pockets of prenup that we have on the podcast, I'm gonna ask this question, and we're gonna go around. Do y'all have y'all spouses as authorized users on your credit cards?
One of them, I think one of them.
All right, so DJ cleared it. DTH, what you say?
And life insurance.
We talking about authorized users on the credit card.
Okay, right? Because I have a life insurance, right? I don't think I've gotten to do it yet, but like I've given her her. I mean, because the thing is, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. Where I'm talking about, like, it doesn't really make, like, if she needs something, I just give her my card, or I'll just spend it on her, or whatever. Like, to me, it don't really make a difference.
It in a bag.
So.
She don't give them with her name on it yet, though. But all right. I'll just messing with you.
That's right.
I don't have my wife as authorized users on my cards either, and I don't know if it's a hint at prenuptial, because I mean, like you said, if something needs to get purchased, we still gonna use the card, but there's only one, and it has my name on it. So
I think both of them bring up a great point. It's just dynamics of the situation. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like DJ was just saying. Certain things like that, it's what's best for the relationship,
And everybody made it, man. This has been another powerful hour with the Hold Your Point Podcast. We are the Hold Your Point Podcast crew. Just a little bit on prenuptial agreements. When our wives go back and watch this, we hope we did our due diligence.
Still good.
But no, just looking at the conversation altogether, man, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just making sure that everyone is on the same page going into the relationship. And then, through the relationship, if it changes, making sure everyone stays on the same page and it works for everyone.
And please, as Nigel mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, like and subscribe. We're really trying to grow this podcast. We're trying to reach more lives because we're talking about some good stuff. We're not talking about no foolishness. We're talking about something that's actually beneficial in your life.
Yeah, man. I think, if you like the gems that we're giving y'all, go ahead and give us some support. Like, subscribe. Buy some merch. Hey, support us.
Yep. DTH.
Yeah, I mean, thanks everybody for tuning in, and hopefully you got some good information from here. But yeah, appreciate the support you're giving. Continue to support, share with others, and we'll see y'all next time.
We out of here.